Hey everybody, this is Rydo, and we're back to Portal Revolution, the fan-made sequel slash mod. They call it a mod. I'd call it a fan-made spin-off side story, I guess, not sequel. And we're doing chapter 5, which I believe is the final chapter. And we have this red portal, but weirdly, we got this new red portal gun, and it just doesn't seem like it's doing anything different. What would have been revolutionary, and I'm still just constantly looking for something to be revolutionary, is if perhaps red portals but not blue portals or orange portals wouldn't be reset when you went through a fizzler wall, and then the entirety of this rest of the game would let you just put portals anywhere. That would be a tall order, certainly as far as just how the actual hardware worked, and how the programming worked. But yeah, otherwise, a change in color is not much of anything. Just have red and blue. Some of the puzzles in Chapter 5 feel like they've gotten a little bit more creative in how you're doing them, but there are just some carnal mistakes being made, I feel like, in the design, with everything being broken up instead of things being nice and easy to recognize with blank white walls. Here we have a fire burning, which would imply something, that maybe there's some humans around, and we've seen little bits of hints that humans might be around and that they might be smashing up more of these turrets than normal, because we are seeing quite a lot of broken turrets. But yeah, there definitely are points where you're just not 100% sure where you're supposed to target next, or what you're supposed to be looking for. There, I'm getting stuck in the trash on the floor. Not really getting any majorly interesting storyline. Here we have a whole bunch of what look like pieces of a companion cubes. Weighted companion cubes. I guess that would be a funny thing if it turned out that the turrets or the weighted companion cubes became alive and took over. But yeah, that's something I really wouldn't believe is likely to happen. I kind of don't believe anything special is going to happen, and we're instead just going to finish the story on very mediocre endings. I'm a little surprised that we don't have rats running around, but I don't know what you could really do with Portal if rats were running around. You certainly could have a puzzle where there's like a mutant rat that's really big and you need to portal it out of the way, or portal cheese to make it make portals in front of a block of cheese to make it go away. If there were some level of AIs running around, not robot AIs, but just video game AIs, and you had to manipulate where they would go to play some kind of new sort of stealth game mechanic, that would be an intriguing twist. Here we have an 81 on the side of this, and that means almost nothing to me. And you have a full-on open section here, and yet the game has an invisible wall. We've noticed multiple invisible walls in this mod, where I would not have noticed any in the real games, the canon games, the Valve-made games. Seeing a lot of keep out signs, which I don't know what you can take from that, other than somebody wants you to keep out. And at any point, it feels like we might just run into the personality cube that we started in the game, started talking to and hearing talk to us. And the idea of teleportation instead of using portals was introduced and then very quickly forgotten about. There's a mistake in introducing the whiteboards. They did a funny gag where there was a test test room, and they had drawn up on the whiteboard the signs that you normally see, but by seeing the whiteboard, my first instinct is that I can shoot on it. Perhaps what you would really better do, and maybe in the idea of remastering or remaking or rebooting Portal, if that were to, there's weirdly an invisible wall against this too. Seems like I could just get closer to this wall and it's not happening. But yeah, it would make perhaps a little bit more sense that instead of the portal reticle on the middle lighting up, instead you should just highlight a shadow of a portal when a portal can be placed. That would take up even more space, certainly, but it would also show you exactly where it is going to be placed, and maybe what I really wouldn't want a shadow either. I would want a kind of outline border around the surface if you could place a portal on it. Maybe there just isn't a good idea there. Why can you put a portal up there and up here, but not here and here? Well, here we have a personality cube that's just deactivated and can't pick it up. And we may just run into several of these. And we have switch to turn power on, and then insert disk. And then we have a lot of darkness. So let's go ahead and insert the disk. This door is locked now. Well, that seems like that did something, but I'm not sure what. This game really isn't a programming game, so it has a like the idea of reprogramming things doesn't make a lot of sense.
Oh, hey, what's happening here? Where am I? Who are you? What's going on here? Where are my hands? No, this can't be possible, can it?
And see, this is where the reticle should disappear.
Let's do this properly.
They should just do a full cutscene.
I will explain what just happened, but let's get out of here first. Can you pick me up?
So now we are carrying what seems like a human personality in a personality cube.
Thanks. There's a hub not far from here. Let's go there.
Which more and more, this really does just feel like we are now playing a completely different game compared to the previous 4 chapters.
By the way, where is everybody? Is the office closed? And what is a test subject doing here anyway?
So maybe we'll have one personality cube fighting another personality cube in some kind of revolution.
That's really dark. Light switch anywhere? I mean, we don't have to go through there, do we? I completely understand if you would rather find another way if you're scared of the dark. No shame in that. It's just the absence of light, right? What reason would anyone have to develop a phobia for it? Can't find another way through. I may have an idea. Let me try something. Oh, it worked! That's crazy! I still don't like this plan, but here we go.
So we now have a darkness maze puzzle that we're basically doing. Which I don't think you can get too far with that, and I don't in any way expect a jump scare.
Hours with a stranger and nothing more than a flashlight.
This does address some of my complaints in previous parts of the game where I really would have loved the flashlight, but even as a flashlight, this is covering up a significant amount of the screen and you're not really seeing as much as you would like to. And the red and blue portals at this point have been just completely forgotten about.
I'm sorry for... Oh, I'm so sorry. My bad. I didn't mean to overexpose your eyes.
It is a little surprising that we haven't seen any puzzles in any of the fan games or the main game where you actively have to cooperate with one of these personality cubes. Although in fairness, these personality cubes are pretty well non-existent until the final boss fight in Portal 1. Personality spheres, I guess. I keep calling them cubes, don't I?
Okay.
They're not cubes.
Wait, what happened here? Look out the window, please. All right. Trying not to panic again. Can you tell me what year it is? Oh, you don't know either? Guess we're in the same boat then. Let's try to get this door open. Stick me on that plug in the wall. I'll see what I can do.
Plug in the wall that doesn't even open yet. That's why I couldn't get closer to it.
Woo!
So I didn't go through a physical wall, but I think nope, the portals are still way over there. So this is showing you can get pretty far away from the portals. And they could still
None of this
be
used
around.
to be here. How long was I out for? It must have been decades. I don't really know where we're going now. Oh, let's try and find a management rail. Then I can access the whole network.
This feels very much just like the way in Portal 2 you get back up, but it definitely feels like we're just repeating a variation on something we've already done to no new interesting level. This might be the time where
Elevator. Sure.
all the doors
What's the worst that could await us up
could
there?
be unlocked.
Actually, you don't want to know.
That would be an interesting twist on Aperture Science if the whole building was designed
What portal device model is that?
to
Doesn't look like any of the ones I've seen before.
be a
Looks cool,
maze with
Design team
like a
did good job.
Metroidvania style.
Engineering too. Very slim fit.
Yeah. That'd be a cool idea, certainly.
Oh, a rail! We found one!
And now we're in Chapter 6, The Climb, which I would have sworn that there were only 5 chapters, so there's clearly a lot more game, I guess. Can't go through this door, although I guess I could drop it back there.
Whoa! Feels weird! This will take some getting used to. Thank you, test subject.
And so is it just gonna leave you? And here we have a door that's been barricaded. Again, 4186. Is that some kind of Easter egg number, possibly?
I hope I don't intrude if I join you for a bit while I try to get a sense of what happened to me, the facility, and you.
Yeah, it definitely seems like we're just starting all over again. finding another excuse to do portal puzzles. Looks like we could get in there, but I'm not sure I want to get in there. And there's no way to get in there otherwise. Here we have a condemned testing area, so maybe that means something. It's weird to have the walls just built into the rock.
I'm sorry for my erratic introduction. I'm Amelia Conley, and I work in Aperture's research group for artificial intelligence. Well, I did. Until now. See, my main contributions were in the field of brain scanning, and it seems like one of my old scans just got loaded into this robot. I knew the risks of this happening. We enforced strict backup removal routines so we wouldn't accidentally clone our minds. But here we are.
Okay. So we need to just flick a cube up. Should be easy enough to do. Maybe I have to fling it higher. Interesting. I can't get up there. But I can jump on cubes. Get up there. See what this button does. Drops a new cube way back over there. So we'll have to start over again. We may have to do all this over a second time. Yep. I messed up and moved the cube in the wrong place. Moved the wrong portal. Okay. So this time, when I click the button, this should fling a cube this way. So if I put the red portal there and then press the button again, it should fling the cube upward so it gets sucked. Great. It does certainly now feel like the first 3 chapters of this game
Really
were
struggling to hold back the panic now?
just
I read the
unnecessary
of what
and
happened while I was
redundant.
out. Everyone is dead. All of them. And it's my fault. See, I worked on her. I created the genetic life form and disk operating system just like Cave wanted. Well,
GLaDOS.
my human self did.
I guess
have
that
no
might
memory
be
of
the
this, but the records
official
are clear.
name.
Carolyn never consented to be scanned in, but somehow they must have found a way around that. I need to process this for a bit and figure out what to do now. See you in a bit.
I'm not sure if they really tell you what GLaDOS stands for in the Portal 2 or Portal 1. Let's see. Is it worth it to even enter the office room? See, this is the puzzle chamber we were just in, so we don't need to do that. This would be a really long walk if it turned out that this door didn't open. And that's interesting that that went to a loading screen for that kind of door. This was a problem, I think, even with Portal 2, though, that there are a lot of these loading sections where there's a door on one side and there's a door on the other side, and there's just not that streaming loading technology that you would expect to see in more modern engines. And I can't really call Source Engine or Source Engine 2 even really modern engines. It just doesn't have enough enthusiasm and enough programmers embracing it. At a certain level, yes, there are probably some great video game engines and types of code that exist, but if you don't have that following, I guess would be the right word, if nobody uses the code, it might as well not exist. This looks like there's quite a lot of stuff where potentially could just walk in the water, and I imagine I would just instantly die if I tried. I imagine there's just a bunch of invisible walls. This feels weird. It feels like this might try to connect to the Borealis project, which is maybe what that symbol is, and yeah, the Borealis project is some Half-Life Easter egg type thing. We have a vitrified doors and different kinds of doors.
Hello.
Once again,
I know it's
a little
not been
falling,
long.
too
Just
much
wanted to
falling
be
action.
polite. Just remembered that I never asked what you're doing here. Let's just try to get out of here. This isn't a good place to be around anymore.
So, previously, we saw if a red laser was going through a blue shield in one puzzle, it would kill me. And I'm not sure you see blue, red shields at all anywhere else. So, am I supposed to somehow project myself at a higher speed through this shield? Or, more realistically, is there some kind of system here I'm gonna assume what I'm supposed to do is probably just run through here and see if that projects me up on a platform. Well, no, I didn't run fast enough. Well, that is not the move. I guess I didn't run fast enough. That's about the third or fourth time I've seen a puzzle part where I don't get it on the first try, and I could see very much assuming that you were wrong and just never trying a second time if it didn't work the first time. Here we have a red fire extinguisher model. Okay. Shut
Dark
down.
again. Let me light this up for you.
Okay. So the hope is that this will let you run far enough and fast enough to fly all the way to the edge. And it did. And so we're doing the power off mechanic. And then we need to put a red portal here. Interesting. Why is this computer screen on? And the power is off.
What was... I swear, these These earthquakes aren't normal here. What is that? Be there in a moment.
It might be a case that the teleportation is destroying the facility. Why did it make me wait
Haven't
there?
been here in a while. Wow, this hasn't changed a bit. Ah, yes, the boring presentation room. For some reason, the presentation rooms were assigned special roles. This is the boring one, where only really uninteresting topics get presented. I worked next to the presentation room of danger. Well, that's its nickname. What they pitch there is shocking at first, but it didn't take me long to get numb to it.
There's way more dialogue and monologuing going on with this personality sphere. Than the other one. Yeah. A lot of shadows going on. I'm seeing some creepy humanoid shadows because of
Mannequins?
creepy mannequins.
Interesting. You reckon I could find a humanoid android body somewhere around here? Forgot what it feels like to have hands.
Certainly would be surprising if all of a sudden these mannequins started moving around or attacking you or something. No idea what I'm supposed to be doing though. It's just a lot of darkness. I really wouldn't appreciate, however, if this game did all of a sudden become a horror game. Like, you really can't do anything at all. Am I supposed to just jump down here?
No hands, only handles.
Yeah, we're too far into the game to change anything. There can be a twist ending, and that's about it. Like, you could introduce maybe one or two more ways of solving one or two more puzzles, but it's not by any means going to be a brand new game mechanic. Parabolic mirror. Photons go in. Wonder what that's about. The broken glass element is getting used quite a lot around here and flickers like it's something important. We have another door that seems like it's been barricaded. There is an interesting question, certainly, as to just what happened to all the corpses. If it was a case that GLaDOS released neurotoxin to kill everybody in Aperture Science facilities, there should have been corpses all over the place, at least in Portal 1, in those locations in Portal 1. Down here in the basement, those sections could have just been, over the years, shut down, and
Light!
people
Finally.
could have stopped going down.
Can't stop thinking about the android body. I wonder if they finished developing those.
That's another great example of just a really long amount of time in which you're doing nothing. I'd kind of like, if I'm gonna see through the glass, I'd like to have things better lit so it's more impressive when I do look at something out the window. or walls with posters or something interesting to look at. If you are going to make things interesting to look at. Otherwise, just keep it boring and have me rush through these sections, which are way too long. Which is really what it seems like they want you to do. Notably here, there's like no moving platforms, no crushers, stampers. Those were elements that were in Portal 1, but I wouldn't say they were particularly well received as elements in Portal 1. But I can see the walls moving and things, and take a note there. I walk through the door automatically closes behind me and my portals just get fizzled. For distance reasons, I suppose.
Whoa. Watch out!
Another great example of where the camera should have taken control so we can see that items are just falling downward.
What was... Did you see that? Better move upwards before that happens again.
So this looks like this is just part of the building here. This might be one of 4 connecting parts that eventually you reach the spire that we reached with the teleportation. That might make some sense. And it definitely would be a different game, but it'd be interesting to see somebody use a portal gun and have much more smoother parkouring capabilities while using the portal gun. Something like Mirror's Edge as far as parkour going, the way parkour goes. That'd be a cool idea, but it'd almost certainly be some kind of cutscene or be a case where you're chasing after somebody else in Aperture Science with a portal gun, which that's not a terrible thought either. If all of a sudden there were races and you're chasing after somebody and you just woke up and you didn't really know why you're chasing after somebody and they are just way more adept at making portals, and then they solve certain puzzles very easily because they can make a left and right portal color, and then you can only make one portal color at the beginning. We may be at the end of... No, I don't think we'd be anywhere close to the end of Chapter 6. It'd be weird.
Oh no. I believe this might be an old, dangerous teleportation experiment. Here we've got ourselves the Aperture Science non-local matter displacement device. Quite a mouthful, I know. Our team affectionately dubbed it the Spire. Adds a bit of pizzazz to it, right?
It was developed as a successor to the Borealis experiments from the 70s, but I've never seen it with my own eyes.
Well, I've still not seen it with my eyes, unless digital cameras count.
So it is part of the Borealis project backstory, which thus then kind of requires that you know what the Borealis project backstory even is. Interesting. The slight ramp here just saved you from having to figure out another way to get to the spot. So we're going to turn some gel going up the spire, which is probably going to power well, nope, I think it's more local than that. I think we're just supposed to jump back and forth. Feels like we did this maybe once or twice in Portal 2, but that's a great example of a gimmick you can really only do once or twice. There's no twist on it. It replaces a ladder, so in the 2 places we've seen ladders before, if we had bounce gel like that, that might have been a little bit cooler, or at least unique, maybe. Not cooler. I'm backing into the corners of these dark sections just to see if there's something there. I still have yet to really memorize which button does which. Okay. So we need to fling ourselves. There's the white gel that is the moon dust paint. We want to fling ourselves way over there. Which just means we need to jump down. Then we autosave. Again, these feel exactly like they feel exactly like jumps I did in Portal 2. And yeah, I just have to say personally, that does not feel like that's the right way to make a mod, to just say, hey, we're going to do it all over again.
Whoa! That was close! We better get going. Let's find a way up to the surface. That's where we'll find the control room.
Just doing the same thing a second time. Potentially landing in the exact same place. This is, I think, feels very much like another room in Portal 2. And here we have, I guess, probably all the mugs that exist in the game. If there was maybe some kind of mini game or achievement for seeing all the mugs, that'd be interesting, but I think you'd want to click on them or something. Break them. Yeah, it would be weird to leave computers and coffee mugs and chairs and everything just in a location, but I wouldn't put it past Game Design 101. That was an Easter egg we saw at the very beginning of the game. I wouldn't put it past like Cave Johnson to just fire everybody in a department, shut down the department, and then build a new department office higher up to replace them later. And if you were to just tell everybody you're fired, get out, that would explain leaving chairs and coffee mugs and things like that. Of course, even if you are a horrible boss that just fires entire departments for unflippant reasons, you probably would still hire somebody to clean up the facilities and, you know, recoup all your investment in furniture and equipment. We are getting closer and closer to these being hidden object game moments where you're not really finding hidden objects so much. A3 size paper instead of A4 size paper. I don't think A3, it says not paper. Interesting. So it's not paper. Good, because that would make no sense. A3 paper should be bigger than A4. Significantly bigger. Let's see. This might very well be a Easter egg as far as game development. Here we have a virtual reality. Try VR now in virtual reality design labs. Which, yes, Valve did make a Portal Half-Life universe style demo game in VR. And see, all of this is just way more polished. So I suspect all of this is supposed to be an Easter egg. Even the camera here, which is not loaded in, it seems, is different. These might be VR sensors for transmitting. Or recognizing where you are in space while wearing VR. That might have been what those were supposed to be, although they really did just look like big black blocks. Feeling lonely. It's a weird extra poster. These are awful cubicles. Definitely would not want to work in some kind of alcove. There's way too much weirdness as far as which doors open and which doors don't, when clearly one or two color
This
palettes
will sound stupid, so just bear with me.
one or two
Garbage
styles of
disposal
doors.
tubes generate much more force than the ones in test chambers. Should be able to carry you. If you jump into this tube, I will route you through to the upper layers of the facility.
Interesting. That's gonna take a lot of faith. But I guess we probably don't have any other option. So it's not just jumping, we've got to find a way to put a portal. No real problem there. Then we've got to flip the power switch. And then
Maybe hold your breath.
now we jump in. Which just gives us an excuse to get away from having to go all the way from the bottom of Aperture Science to the top of Aperture Science all over again, and potentially just do some more generic, boring puzzles. And what we might have here is a case where we're revisiting
This is as far as I can get you.
things we've
Damn it,
already
that's
seen.
barely halfway. Well, looks like we have to go the long way. Sorry. I'm going to research this spire thing while you solve the chambers.
So, once again, looks like we are forced to solve puzzles. Yeah, it would be very ambitious, but a Metroidvania game set in the Portal universe and in a facility like Aperture Science, where you've got your morph ball through the cave equivalent in the tubes. You've got different kinds of doors with different kinds of keys. You've got different kinds of abilities. Now, inherently, I would say the thing that Metroid games have going for them is interesting. Just walk close and get a cube. Whoops. Didn't mean to do that. Is you in Metroid games have a little bit of fighting, a little bit of shooting. You're leaning into that default violence as a gameplay mechanic stereotype that makes it so easy to make video games. So running around in a portal environment playing a Metroidvania might feel fairly weird if there's nothing to shoot at. So maybe that would be the point where you would introduce a portal gun that could shoot little pellets or something. Maybe something the equivalent of like a small slingshot that would scare away rats every now and then. But then you introduce the idea of health if you're fighting things, and you introduce the idea of
I found some internal documents for the
other
Spire,
ideas.
which is 20 megabytes large. How did they figure out how to fit all that on a single drive?
20 megabytes. That definitely gives you a general idea of how big she's expecting drives to be, which then that creates a weird question as far as how much data were they actually storing in the brain scans if it wasn't 20 megabytes. Like, as far as we understand it, the human brain contains ridiculous petabytes of data, so we couldn't just scan it in reality to a computer, not without some major compression or some new hard drives. 20 megabyte hard drives existed pretty early. You would have had first generation of computers, or several first generations of computers, that would have just used like 1.5 megabyte floppy disks and have no hard drive in them. But
I read up on the Spire. One thing that puzzles me, how did it get activated? It's been dormant for decades and suddenly it just kicks itself into action? Whoever it was must have really upset it.
yeah, sorry, I stopped to listen to the voice acting there. Yeah, you wouldn't buy a hard drive at a massive price, what could have been thousands and thousands of dollars for first generation hard drives, if it could only hold 20 floppy disks worth of data. It would have been cheaper to straight up just buy more floppy disk drives, and there's nothing stopping you on SCSI drives from doing that. You could easily have had at least 16, probably closer to 64 SCSI connected floppy disk drives to hold data. And if anything, it was more of a struggle to just create data in the first place that would hold so the timing here is important. Yeah, you would struggle to find a reason you even needed to hold 20 megabytes. A Windows 3.1 operating system, I think, was only closer to like 5 floppy disks. Next test being marked by someone potentially being helpful. I guess if you were going to make a Portal 3, going with a Matrix ending might be a good way to fix the series and the timelines. You could straight up just say everything Chell experienced was actually in a VR simulation, and just now she is actually escaping from GLaDOS. That would be an interesting twist. It would bring Chell back. It would also, but as soon as you pulled that trick and you make reality unreal, then people will always question that, whether that's continuing to be the case. That's the problem with like the Matrix movies too, is once they said you were in the Matrix, even when they were escaped and outside of the Matrix, or it seemed like they had escaped and were outside of the Matrix, there's still a lot of room to question whether they were actually outside of the Matrix. it creates a paranoia problem. This is just yet another example of there being way too much stuff. So this goes down here, and then gets sucked up there, and then gets flinged that way, and then splashes there. Okay. Does it hit any surface at any point? No. So, how would we engage with that? Or are we not supposed to engage with it, and are we supposed to just move on? Can we get back up to where we were? Seems like that's where we want to go. And somebody's painted an exit. They never really did quite wrap up the Ratman story line in the main games to enough of my satisfaction. I would have liked to have seen the Ratman instead of simply knowing that in the like canonical comic book he dies a hero's death, and that's pretty much it. Guess maybe this isn't somewhere where we came. I swear it feels like it was. Maybe I do need to just go all the way back, though. I have no better idea. We need to just wrap up this episode anyways. That door is locked. So I would have appreciated if that was the case, that when we walked through this point, a gate would have just closed and told us not to bother with anything more. Ah, this is actually easier than it seems, isn't it? Okay. That makes that wall and that. And that's all we had to do. I simply did not see the button. Flipping that changed it now. So now we can actually direct the acceleration gel. You can see that large percentages of this gel is not hitting the tube, so eventually you're going to just see every single bit of the gel go away, unless they programmed it in such a way that one piece will always survive, which I don't really see a reason why you would program it so that one piece would always survive, but maybe not. Is it really worth sitting here and watching it? Probably not. Okay. And I think that's all we really need to do here is just set that up. We could try and back up as much as possible. And let's just try and get a straight angle. And as soon as you hit the blue gel, your will just bounce automatically. So all I did there, even though that looked very fancy, was press forward and hold the control stick forward. And then I imagine this is the end here. I don't think I can get the blue gel to bounce, so I don't think I need it either. What would suck here is if I do need it, maybe we just need more acceleration. So let's put the red in here, not get too close to the blue. Run here, see if that works. No. I can't do anything there either. And there's not like a portable surface. Shootable surface is really the phrase I should use. If I was to just jump and bounce, I don't think I'd have enough momentum, but we should try that. Notice that's a great example of being on rails there. I was pulling backwards, but it put me on a rail in such a way that it was accelerating me forwards. This is probably easier than I'm making it seem. Probably just need to run and press A and jump when I get to the edge. Yeah. It was way easier.
Again! Did you see? The Spire is stealing resources from down here as part of its power-up sequence. I don't think it presents an immediate threat to us, but something just feels off. Aperture likes to poke around at anything, no matter how dangerous it is. The fact they discontinued this experiment doesn't really fill me with emotions I would categorize as positive.
Wow, that felt weirdly glitchy with the music kicking in and then going away. I guess this is the prototype, or at least the mod's argument of what the prototype elevators should have been, although that doesn't really explain how the elevators in Portal 1 are way simpler. The elevators are just circular elevators and in tubes. They don't have projectors in the wall, and they're not a big spherical area. Alright, well, I don't want to start any more dialogue. So, yeah. A little surprised that there is another chapter. Not getting super surprised by what the story is. We're doing better, I think, with this new personality sphere compared to the previous personality sphere, and it looks like these two personality spheres might fight against each other, and we might have to pick a side. I wouldn't be surprised if at the end of the game you just have to pick left or right to decide who you're going to side with. Puzzles are fine. We didn't see anything super interesting, I would say, in this episode. Nothing is knocking my socks off, though. It is all pretty generic. It's been done before. I was much more impressed with the last Portal mod I played, where that Portal mod introduced a green door with different time zones. So you'd go through a green portal and it would be in the future, and then you'd go through the green portal and it would go back to the past. That was much more creative and definitely way more consistent as far as what the gameplay mechanic is. Here we have Portal Revolution with a red portal, and we still have not seen any evidence at all that the red portal gun can do anything special. The portal gun that we have now, we've only had for an hour, maybe 2 or 3, where we were just playing with regular portal guns up until that point. The first 3 chapters, at least the first 3 chapters, all feel incredibly redundant and pointless. And honestly, I just don't know if I think a fan-made mod needs to try to shoot for 8 hours of gameplay and 40 puzzles. It feels like, particularly when you're leaning on the shoulders of giants, or standing on the shoulders of giants is the proper way to say that phrase, and you already have a very nice looking game, it just makes a lot more sense to polish it down to 20 great puzzles instead of 40 mediocre puzzles. And certainly that's the case with Portal 1. And yeah, I don't think Portal 2 disappoints in that factor either. Anyways, that's going to be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. Thank you for watching.